Hey guys, welcome to today's video. It is a gorgeous Saturday morning. Our temperatures have finally moderated at least a little bit, and today we're going to do something a little bit unique. You know, when you're starting out your nursery, really when you're starting out anything in life, anything that you put your hands to, it is incredibly smart, very wise to learn from your own experiences and to learn from your own mistakes. But it's even wiser to learn from somebody else's. Go look at what somebody else has done. Learn from what somebody else has done. Read what somebody else has done. And on today's video, I'm going to do kind of an interview today with somebody who's come to check out our nursery and to see exactly what it is that we do here in our nursery, so maybe they too can learn. And maybe there's something in this to help you out today. Hey guys, today we're going to do something really different in our video, and I got my friend Ron with me today, and Ron has come down from Connecticut. And when I say Ron is my friend, he's been my friend for about 45 minutes. So Ron wanted to come down and check out our nursery because he wants to start doing something like this and kind of maybe get some ideas about maybe how to do this, or maybe get a picture in his mind of what may or may not work in his space and with his climate, his location, and all that. So looking around out here today, I've asked him if he would mind making a video with us and just sitting in and maybe sharing a little bit about what he's thinking. So Ron, now that you've come into our driveway and into our backyard, like what's your impression when you come in?
I am definitely glad that I came down to do this so that I can plan ahead and not have to repeat moving, rows of plants, planning out where to put things, using your expertise and knowledge of going through this already, so that when I go to put these down, I'm not making a mistake in where I put them.
So with your space, he was sharing that he has a pretty good sized yard. I mean, way bigger than what we have here. So he's got a lot of space to work with. What were you thinking as far as with your setup? Were you wanting to do, grow trees, or are you wanting to do shrubs, or like perennial flowers, or edibles, or like what are you thinking?
Yep, we do edibles now, microgreens. Bridge Street Micro Farm has its own website and stuff, so we do some local sales with some edibles, but I want to branch into shrubs, flowers. Everybody loves a great landscaped yard, so I love growing stuff already. So I love growing plants, and I found your videos and started following you and saw an inspiration of what I could do with all this empty space in my field. So I want to get into shrubberies, trees, vines, flowers, and like I said, that's why I wanted to see what you did, so that when I do it, it's kind of done and done once, and it's the way it's supposed to be, instead of making a mess and redoing it later.
Yeah, so I think that's a great thing that you mentioned, that I think that people that want to do something like this, it's hard to visualize ahead of time what you might want it to look like when you really aren't even sure what you're doing.
Right.
So, and I was sharing with Ron that when we started doing this, it was, and it still is to some degree, I mean, it's just kind of a helter-skelter mess out here, because we didn't really have a layout in mind. We didn't really have, okay, we're going to do this, then this, then this. It really just sort of happened, and we started building things around what was already out here, building around our trees, building around our garden beds where we were already growing things. And I think one of the things that would be helpful is like he's saying, is try to visualize some of that ahead of time, and knowing that you've got this many square feet to work with. Like, what are you going to actually do with that square footage? So Ron, I want to ask you another question. When you came back here, like what was the first thing that you noticed when you came back here?
How small of a space that you're using and utilizing pretty much almost every square foot of that backyard space in a way where this row is this, that row is that, how organized everything is set up. Those are the first few things that I noticed, how much you have in this back space and how well organized it is.
So that's it's kind of funny to me to hear him say that, because like one of the hallmarks of my life is that I'm not a real organized person. So the fact that he thinks this is organized, let me tell you guys, this gives you hope. If that's really not your cup of tea is organization, don't worry about it. You can still figure out a way to pull off some kind of nursery in your backyard despite that. So one of the questions that Ron was asking me about, and it's a good question for those who have never really tried mist propagation or have tried various kinds of propagation and maybe it hasn't worked out so well is dealing with moisture control when you're trying to get plants to root. Like, how do you keep your stems from rotting or from getting too wet or from not being wet enough or whatever it is. And you know, we do here in our nursery, we do most of our propagation under mist, which you can see right over here. But one of the things that we do is, you know, I've shown you on a video our mixture that we use to make our plugs with. That's the material that you actually stick your cutting into, and it's a mixture of Miracle Grow potting soil and pine bark. And Ron, you were telling me a little bit about what you had tried with kind of mixed results. What have you tried on that so far?
So I went down and looked for pine bark, and a lot of the stores that around me were selling it as a mulch.
Okay.
So I had bought that, and it was actually a lot thicker than the material that you're using here. Yours is a lot more lighter and fluffier. It's not as dense. Mine was more of a mulch, where it was a lot thicker. It had a little bit of soil in it too, where it had already started to break down, I'm assuming. But when I put that in with the perlite, and I've even used it with sand, they were getting a lot of the rot on the bottom, on the roots. I think too much moisture, and a lot of it wasn't draining as well as it should have. With that stuff there, it seems a lot lighter, so it should drain faster. That's what I think I'm gonna have to switch to.
Okay, so switch into something that drains well, and maybe that's the key of the whole thing. You know, when you've got mist constantly spraying, or I mean, intermittently spraying on your plants though throughout the day, it's going to be really hard for you to be too dry.
Right.
You know, because you got a constant moisture source. So you can even use a media that I use in my you know, for dishpan type of propagation is I just use pure sand. Well, that holds very, very little moisture. So that's one thing though that's hard. Almost anything you plant or anything you grow, you don't want it to be that dry. But almost anything you grow is not constantly getting more moisture on it. So, you know, there's kind of a happy medium to find there, but when it comes to mist propagation, you always want it to be probably drier than wetter because of the constant moisture. So Ron has a little operation of his own at his place, and just to kind of see what they do, there's a link below to his Instagram page, and you can kind of see what they're about. And besides that, I appreciate him stopping by today. Was there anything else you wanted to add or to say, or are we good, or what do you think?
Right now, I think I've absorbed a lot and of your time.
It is a lot. It's a lot to think about. Yeah.
But no, I do appreciate all the tips, advice. You know, learning from somebody that's already gone through some of the trials and tribulations of it makes it a little bit easier to decide on what to do, what the next step should be, and planning ahead, like you were saying.
Yeah, cool. Well, Ron, I appreciate you coming by today. And he was visiting a nearby town. He didn't come all the way from Connecticut to see our backyard. But I appreciate him very much stopping by today. It's been a fun morning, and I'm glad to have met you, Ron. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate y'all watching today's video. If this stuff that I post on my channel is helpful to y'all in any way, hit the like button. That always helps my channel, and the subscribe button as well. I love y'all, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.